With the 19th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Alan Graves, forward from Santa Clara. Locked on NBA Draft Night is brought to you by Indeed. Go to Indeed.com/podcast and get a $75 sponsored job credit. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Terms and conditions apply. I'm Tanitra Batiste, and I'm joined now by Sean Woodley from Locked on Raptors. And Sean, is Graves where you thought Toronto would go at 19?
Look, I had kind of talked myself into maybe this being the year the Raptors would draft a guard, because I've been kind of pounding the table for the Raptors to add to their guard room over the course of basically this entire season. But I knew deep down they're going to take a forward who's got some tools and can maybe shoot or maybe can't. And in this case, they actually took a guy who can shoot, which is kind of off book for them. And yeah, so Alan Graves doesn't really surprise me. He's an analytical darling. The Raptors tend to go for that type of thing too. And so ultimately, no, I'm not shocked that this is the way they went. I'm not, there were other guys I thought they might have gone for. There was a word out there that, Chris Sinak Jr. from Houston might have been someone they coveted, or Jaden Quaintance kind of fit the bill of what the Raptors tend to go for. Ultimately, if they were going to go with a forward or front court guy, I'm glad it's someone who can shoot like Alan Graves.
Indeed. And the Raptors finished the regular season a respectable fifth in the East. How do you feel like Graves makes them better?
It's interesting. I think he kind of just helps them double down on the thing that this team is going to be about going forward, which is Scotty Barnes plus Colin Murray-Boyles, and then figure everything else around those two guys, right? Those guys are incredible defensively. Colin Murray-Boyles was a monster in the playoffs. Yeah, they kind of got moved around in game 7 by the Cavs bigs, but for the previous 6 games of that series, Colin Murray-Boyles at 6'7" was absolutely dominating Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And I think there's a real case to be made that he can just play center in minutes that matter going forward. And so to fill in your front court with some spacing, Alan Graves is not going to be necessarily a center. He's more of like a wing-coated player, sort of a defensive playmaker, get into the passing lanes, things like that. But I think you put that guy out there with a front court of Scotty Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles. It makes it easier for those two guys to operate as non-shooters. And, you hope that Colin Murray-Boyles can kind of step up as a shooter over time. Scotty Barnes has kind of had dalliances of being okay as a shooter. There's a world where all three guys become sort of passable at some time in the next few years, but Graves at the very least gives some space to those dudes to operate, and they operate really well as like an interior duo. They're passing, one guy in the short roll, one guy in the baseline cutting. Like, those guys really seem to have a great chemistry. And so having anyone who's big, who can rebound, who can space, help with the possession battle, and also just shoot, I think there is a real argument to be made that it just kind of helps them further double down on their biggest strength, which is that backbone of those two immensely talented and physical and defensively special forwards in Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles.
Yeah, for sure. Graves known for his good defensive awareness, and also, as you mentioned, an effective and efficient shooter. 41% of his threes made last season. But when you look at some of the concerns, foot speed, explosiveness, not necessarily things, Sean, that you could work on. How much work can you do to kind of get there? But there are obviously areas where Graves can improve. What would you like to see in his rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just want to see him be able to be a connective player, right? I think the thing with Graves, he's not a great ball handler necessarily, but he's a good passer. He can really anticipate plays and see what's coming next. I think he is sort of a good high field player, which is something that I tend to very much value. And I think it's something the Raptors obviously value as well in their front court players, guys who can pass, kind of add to the collective passing juice that this team has. Because they don't have a lot of guard play on the roster, they really do rely on their bigs and wings to kind of create openings with their playmaking. And I think there's a good connective passer there in Alan Graves. For me, I think the sort of skill I'd love to see get sort of added into his package is that ball skill, right? Can he do something when the ball swings to him, and can he put it on the deck and make something happen? It's not really been a thing he's been known for in college. Maybe it's something he can kind of tap into and improve in the pros. And I think this pick does make it so it's more likely that Sandro Mamukelashvili, who was a really nice find for the Raptors this past season, is going to be a free agent. He might just walk now, and the Raptors say, you know what, we can kind of fill in that sort of spacing forward option with Alan Graves. Or maybe they just pay Mamu and say, it's Vision 6'9" again, baby. We're just going to keep them all. Why not? Which would be kind of fun. But yeah, I think there's, some room to grow for Graves for sure when it comes to what he does with the ball in his hands. Does he have any kind of handle whatsoever? Can he put the ball on the deck once or twice to make something happen? But beyond that, I think if he can kind of just do the things that he's known for, defensive playmaking, offensive rebounding is a really big skill for him. That connective passing and the 3-point shooting, like that can be a guy who's a pretty steady rotation player for you from day one.
Appreciate you, Sean. And for more on the Toronto Raptors, subscribe to Locked On Raptors wherever you get your podcasts.